Hi everyone, I hope your assessments went okay for the last 2 days. We're going to move forward with lesson 8.3. This lesson is all about factors, and we're going to find factor pairs of products, which means the numbers that multiply to equal a bigger number. Before we do that, we have a couple things to warm up with. The first looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to do this with you guys. You don't have a piece of paper in front of you, but I want you to think with me, and this is just a review. These are all four of these squares, or these rectangles, are 6 by 7 arrays, and we want to think about how can you break these apart in different ways to help you figure out the answer. So one way that we could break this apart is I could break it apart right here. So that on the 7 side, this is 6, and I have a 2 and a 5. I could break it apart like this. So on the 6 side, I have a 3 and a 3, and then I still have 7 up there. I could break it apart this way so that I have 5 and 1, and I still have 7 that way. I could break it apart this way so that I have 3 and 4, and then 6 on the side. And remember, you're trying to break it apart into smaller chunks so that they're easier to multiply. So I should get the same answer each time, but get it differently. So for this first one, I have 6 times 2, which is 12. And then I also have 6 times 5, which is 30. And when I add those up, I get 42. Over here, I have 3 times 7, 2 times, which is 21. And when I add those up, I also get 42. For this bottom one, 1 times 7 is just 7. And 5 times 7 is 35. 35 plus 7 is 42. And then finally, I have 6 times 3, which is 18. 6 times 4, which is 24. And when I add 18 and 24 together, I also get 42. So this was just a reminder that we still have that strategy in our back pocket for using the break apart, and we're going to be using that down the line for harder math problems. So keep that in mind. But today's lesson is mainly about finding factors. And so our next part of our warm-up looks like this. And I want you to pause the video, and I want you to get a piece of paper so that you can solve this problem. So go ahead and press pause, and then come back. Okay, it says Joanna packs 16 bottles of juice into cartons. How could she pack the bottles so that each carton has an equal number of bottles with none left over? Show your thinking in pictures or arrays, then write a number model that matches. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can think through this. How could she package these bottles so that there are none left over? Okay, welcome back. One way that she could package this is she could put them in one carton. One carton could hold all 16 of her bottles, and the number model that matches that is 1 times 16 equals 16. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that 1 times 16 to the side. Oops. So I'm going to write that. Let's see. I'm going to write it up here, and I'm going to put a different color. Let's do blue. 1 times 16. Okay. Another way that you could do it is she could have 2 cartons, and in each carton, she could have 8 bottles. Just like that. So the number model that would match that would be 2 times 8 equals 16. You could also undo that or reverse it, and you could have 8 cartons with 2 in each. just like that. And so over here, I'm going to write 2 times 8, or 8 times 2, and I'm also going to do the turnaround for 16. Okay. And the last thing, why isn't it letting me erase? Let's see. Okay. The last way that we could do it is we can have 4 cartons, and in each carton, you could have 4. So I would write 4 times 4. Let's see what would happen if I tried to do 5 cartons. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm just going to match those up. When I try 5 cartons, I have 1 left over, so it's not even. So what I can say about this is that all of these numbers over here, 1, 16, 2, 8, and 4, those are factors of 16. Those are numbers that can be multiplied to equal 16. 5 can never be multiplied by any number to equal 16. And when we put 2 numbers together, like 2 and 8, that's called a factor pair, because together those numbers equal 16. So today we're going to look at factor pairs and factors of bigger numbers. Okay, so a similar question. How could you pack 10 bottles of juice into cartons so that each carton has an equal number of bottles with none left over? So the question is, what are the factors of 10? Well, let's go ahead and draw some circles here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, how could I group those evenly? Well, I could have 2 containers, and in each container I have 5. I could have 5 containers, and in each container I have 2. I could have 1 container, and that container has 10. Or I could have 10 containers, and that container, or each container just has 1. So I would say that my factors of 10 are 1 and 10, and 2 and 5. Those are the only numbers that can be multiplied to equal 10. I can use my multiplication and division table to also help me. So if I'm looking for factors of this number 10, I can look for 10 on this board. So I'm going to look in this white space here for the number 10. I see it here. I see it here. I see it here, and I see it here. I don't see it anywhere else. And then I can see, how did I get that? Well, I got it by multiplying 5 and 2, 2 and 5, 1 and 10, and 10 and 1. Notice those are my factors. So I can use this multiplication and division table to help me find factors. Okay. All right. So how can I find out the factors of 30? How could I use this table to figure out the factors of 30, or use my fact power, my knowledge of multiplication, to find factors of 30? Well, just like last time, I can look for the number 30 within the white part or along this diagonal. So I'm going to look down. I see one here. I see it here. I see it here. And I see it there. And I don't see any more. So then I figure out, how did I find those? Well, I did 10 and 3. And then I have 6 and 5. And then I have 5 and 6. and then I have 3 and 10. Are there other factors of 30 that are not on this list or on this table? Yes, there are. There is 15 and 2, and I knew there was a 2 as a factor because 30 is an even number. So I could have 15 and 2, and I also know that any number, every single number, has itself and 1 also as a factor. Okay? All right. How can I extend this to bigger multiplication problems? So what if I asked you to come up with factors for 120? Well, the first thing I would think about is I would think, okay, what fast product is in there? What product do I recognize in there that's just been multiplied by 10? And the answer is 12. So then I think about, okay, how do I usually get 12? Well, I do 3 and 4. I can do 6 and 2. And I can do 12 and 1. Now, to make it so that it equals 120, I just have to make one of those numbers multiplied by 10. So I could do 30 times 4, or I could do 40 times 3. I could do 60 times 2, or I could do 20 times 6. I could do 120 times 1, or I could do 12 times 10. Just like that. Okay, we're going to try a couple more. How about 180? So just like in the last one, we look for my fast product, which is 18. And then I think about all the ways I can make 18. I can have 9 times 2, 6 times 3, 18 times 1. And then I just multiply one of those by 10. 90 times 2, or 20 times 9. 60 times 3, or 6 times 30. 180 times 1, or 18 times 10. We're going to try one more. We're going to do 90. Okay. Well, 90, my fast product that's hiding in there is 9. So I can do 3 times 3, and then 9 times 1. And then I multiply. I can go 30 times 3, or I can go 90 times 1, or 9 times 10. Okay, I'd like you to now get your math journal, and you're going to need to turn to page 259. I'm going to skip a couple here. Great. And 259 should look like this. And we're going to do problems 1 and 2 together, and then you're going to do the rest by yourself. So this page is going to look like this. For each problem, fill in the blanks with different factor pairs that make the number sentences true. So what are two factor pairs that I can fill in to get 8? Well, one way I can make 8 is 8 times 1. And another pair that I can use is 4 times 2. Just the same thing with 18. I can go 6 times 3 is one way to make 18. And another way is 9 times 2. You can go ahead and write those in as well. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to finish page 259 that we just started. You're going to take a picture of it, and then you're going to upload it to your journal in Seesaw so that I can give you feedback. Then you're going to do the math box on page 260. You do not need to upload that into Seesaw. Finally, do HomeLink 8.3, and you don't have to upload that either. Please just upload 259. If you want to upload more, you're welcome to, but you do not need to. Really, I just want to see page 259 completed. Good luck.